Ah, even that intro is always an orgasm for me. Anyways, let us start off with Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. Oh boy. Ah, I am so excited to do this shit up cute. And I have a new image right about. Let's not. Let's just wait. God, I always love hearing that intro. Ah, so amazing. How's everyone doing today? I am fucking. Um, let's see. I'm fucking happy and excited at the same time because we're starting Shadowbringers. Oh boy! I would say, one of my favorite Final Fantasy XIV expansions. Even though I have not touched any, haven't touched the stories of A Realm Reborn, Heaven's Ward, and Stormblood. I did pay attention to Shadowbringers. So yeah. Anyways, let us continue. I'll start off. Ooh, oh boy. Oh. Good news, Akira. We've had a stroke of luck in our search for that beacon. Apparently, our colleagues have stumbled across a hidden path leading down into the hollows around the base of the Crystal Tower. A path I doubt we'd ever have found had the Ironworks and the Suns not added their numbers to the party. Thanks to them, we have eager eyes plenty down there, checking under rocks and peering into every nook and cranny. Still, it sounds like there's a lot of ground to cover. Then we'd better go on and give them a hand. Sounds like tedious work, but not as tedious as waiting around, I suppose. Exactly. So I was thinking we should go and lend a hand. The sooner we find this beacon, the sooner you can travel to wherever it is this mysterious voice is coming from. And the sooner we can work out how to help our friends. We have to find a way to wake them up, and before the Empire comes calling again, meaning we have no time to lose. There's a boat in North Silver Tier waiting to ferry people to the site. So let's be on our way. Oh god. I am so fucking excited. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. All right. Where's the ferry? There's the ferry. There it is. Heading to the survey site, madam. It's on the eastern shore of the lake, and the swiftest way to get there is by boat. Alright. Hey, it's Hordy Boulder. Akira, the search continues, but I have no doubt we shall find this beacon of yours. The air here weighs heavily upon me. 'Tis little wonder, I suppose, when standing in the shadow of such an imposing structure. I've detected no slavering beasts in the vicinity, my sister accepted. The Archons need our help. Next to that, even matters of the heart doesn't seem to matter. The ironwork is out in force. Master Garland's orders. That towering edifice is the outer wall of the Crystal Tower's foundation, the labyrinth of the ancient, to be precise.
Look how many people there are! Should we get to it then? Pick up anything that seems the least bit device-like, and we'll make ourselves a pile.
Well, if it isn't the hero of the hour, maybe you'll change our look. We've found bugger all without you.
Figs! Wedge!
Aye, aye. Well, we could hardly say no to a call for aid from the Scions. Jesse called it the chief of some other business, so we'll be working twice as hard to make up for his not being here.
Thrice as hard, even.
Thank you, both of you. I'm sure we'll find that beacon in no time.
I'm not seeing anything out here. Do you reckon you could squeeze in there, Wedge?
And get stuck halfway? No, thank you.
I could try if you like.
Tataru, no! We couldn't ask you to do that.
Oh, I'll be fine. This receptionist is not afraid to get her hands dirty.
Sorry, I meant to say, the scholars haven't finished their preliminary assessment of the site yet, so we're not supposed to venture too far in. What's that you got there? Now that looks promising.
Isn't that the Ironworks symbol? Counterfeiters?
Now I have you.
You are right.
What's happening?
Stay with me. Focus on my voice. Let expanse contract. Eon become instant.
Wait, this must be it. The device. Oh, this is supposed to happen.
Throw wide the gates that we may pass.
Oh, safe journey, warrior of light. Find our friends and bring them home.
showing me the dawn's light will shine again.
Oh, do not look at me so.
You're slaves to a tyrant! There's no freedom in that!
This is one battle you cannot fight. Away with you!
Your spirited accounts always comes in no good.
We did everything right! Everything that was asked of us, and still it came to this!
Your time has not yet come.
From endless dreams I awake. Something vague, yet urgent, calls me to action once more.
Rare to meet someone out here who's not a peddler themselves. What brings you into the wilds this time of night? Well, if it ain't the oldest joke in the book. Me granddad, God's rest his soul, used to tell that one to the barman at kicking out time. And when, pray tell, did we last have a dark night? You rotten old drunk, you, he'd reply. Over 100 bleeding years ago, that's when. You got that look down to a T. I'd almost think you meant it.
Ah, got to you, did they? Poor beggar. That explains it then. Well, I've roads to travel and wares to sell, but you'd best hurry along to the town nearby. Just head east through the trees and aim for the Shining Tower. You'll find the place soon enough. 'Tis the biggest settlement for malms around. Go on now, friend. They'll take good care of you in the Crystarium.
Dizzying heights it rises, the gleaming spire. Its tip threatening to pierce the blinding canopy. There, it will all begin anew. Between dark and light, the pure and the corrupt. The one true struggle.
Oh my god. Her tears. Oh my god. Can I? Nope, I can't. Alright, cool. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Halt! Every face in this city I know. Yours, I do not. This is the threshold of the Crystarium, stranger, and I am its gatekeeper. If you would enter, you will answer my questions. From where do you hail?
Damn. Minsa are the source.
The source? What is this cryptic nonsense? Had you given me an honest answer, I would not have barred your way. We care little here for a person's place of origin. But instead, you chose concealment. And I will not suffer you to pass. That one had eaten. It must have gulped down the whole hand, ring and all.
Everything all right, Captain?
Quite all right, my lord. Just a stray sin eater, and a weak one at that.
I see. Weak or not, we should be on the lookout for more. But I see you've met my guest. I will escort her to the Crystarium myself, if you've no objections.
Another of your mysterious friends, is it? I should have known. Very well. I'll inform the others your guest is to be given the run of the city. Pray forgive my less than cordial welcome. May the rest of your stay with us be a pleasant one.
Come with me. I will answer whatever questions you have when we are somewhere more private. Right then, before we plunge into the wheres and wherefores, let me first thank you for answering my summons. I had intended to bring you directly to my personal quarters, but I fear my aim was slightly off. That you are still able to make the crossing unharmed is a great relief. And so, we come to the question of where. The realm in which you now find yourself belongs to one of the 13 reflections, or shards. The first, to be precise, even if its inhabitants are largely oblivious to the fact. As to wherefore, having been awarded the rather grandiose title of Crystal Exarch, I, in my capacity as caretaker of the Crystarium, thought to seek the aid of you and your companions.
Let's see, are there other signs here, or do you have any idea how much trouble you've caused?
An inkling, yes. I can only beg your forgiveness. Matters here forced my hand, but all shall be explained in due course, I promise you. Let us begin with the glaring skies up above. Here in the first, the world has been all but consumed by primordial light. It began a century ago, by this realm's reckoning. A luminous flood swallowing everything in its path. More than 9/10 of this star was lost. And the fortunate few who survived are hounded by abominations born of that catastrophe even now. Sin Eaters, we call them. The creature you saw earlier was one such monstrosity. It was to save the first from this menace that I learned to bridge the rift between worlds. That I might call upon the aid of the greatest of heroes. And though it meant depriving a world of its champion, I had to try, for in saving the first, you would bring salvation to the source as well. But what manner of host harangues his guests in the middle of the road? Let us continue our talk within the Crystarium.
city. The sole sanctuary for the living in a world all but resigned to oblivion. Each stone was laid with hope. The town itself a symbol, a monument to defiance in the face of death. No would-be hero could fail to answer its call. For who among us does not yearn for salvation?
Oh, oh, oh. Here we are. And here we are. Welcome, my friend, to the Crystarium. Now, a full and frank discussion in the privacy. Oh, shit. Dang it. Oh well. But I think our conversation would be more meaningful were you first to gain a firmer grasp of the situation here. To that end, I would like you to visit a few of the Crystarium's civic leaders and glean something of this world and its predicament. As you can see, this path will take you directly to the Aetheryte, a convenience with which I am sure you are only too familiar. Being the rightful object of my summoning spell, you should, in theory, be able to reach all the way back along your etheric trail and find a connection in the source, between it or not. I strongly suggest you complete this attunement before venturing any further. And you have done so, and after you have done so, walk up the steps next to the Aetheryte and head out to the left to arrive in the crystalline mean. This is where you'll find our collective of crafters and gatherers, as well as their spokeswoman, Catalyst, one of the people I should like you to meet. Another is Morin. To reach him and his cabinet of curiosity, you'll want to avoid the aforementioned steps. Take the exit on the left and simply continue straight around and down until you come to the large doors at the end of the path. The third and final person I should like you to meet is Braggy, our man in charge of trade and distribution. He is to be found in the markets, which you can access from the opposite side of the Aetheryte Plaza. In seeking out each of my colleagues, you will visit the major districts of the city and hopefully gain a feel for the place. I trust my directions were simple enough. Crystal clear. To the right and down the where now? My apologies. I forget how confusing the Crystarium can be for newcomers. Not to worry. I'm sure you'll soon become accustomed to its twists and turns. In all honesty, the true challenge may be in finding a right way to approach its citizens. As you discovered during your encounter with the captain, the people of this world are unaware of the existence of other stars and will struggle to accept the truth of your origin. That being the case, when they ask whence you hail, as they inevitably will, I suggest you claim to share a homeland with the Crystal Exarch. There is an unspoken rule here about peering too deeply into that particular mystery. When you finish making the rounds, pray meet me in the large courtyard at the center of the town. Until then. uh... Oh, man. Let's see. I would say this is. I was gonna say this is a larger city state, but I'm like no, that's Kugane. By focusing your senses, you detect the flow of vastly distant currents of ether. Your connection to these energies is faint but stable and should allow teleportation to aetherites in the source. That's truly amazing. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's collect some aetherite stuff. So there's one there. Oh, there's Raggy. New to the city, friend. The spinning head and white eyes give you away. Welcome, my name is Braggy, and I'm the master of these markets. They gave the district another official title, but I'm not in the habit of using it. Too florid by half. In any case, our merchants stock a wide range of equipment, so we should have something in your size. Forgive me my asking, but you are a dwarf, yes? We don't get many of your lot coming down from the mountains these days. Sorry, did you say dwarf? I'm actually a Lullafell. Must be a dialect I'm not familiar with. Oh, hello there. Let's see if we can straighten this out. See those two in front of us? The shorter one is a whom. The taller one is an elf. The sturdy individual over there is a Gald gent, whilst the one with the horns is the Drawn. And then you have the large, scaly carps with the long tail and a knack for raising livestock. Those would be the Zune. Which is apparently not what you call them. Do the dwarves have different names for all the peoples of the world, or did you pick up the common tongue in some other far-flung region? Ah, the same as the Exarch. Well, that explains it. You don't get much further flung than that. We've had a few of your lot pass through in recent years, and despite their obvious learning, they've floundered over the simplest things. But not to worry, should you find yourselves confused by the local language or customs, I'll be here to answer your questions. Your exchange with Bragi has taught you about the peoples of the first. I forgot that they were totally called differently. The creatures. Alright, let's tune to this one. It's always a good thing to attune to every shard. That's my... Whenever I go to a new town, I always do that. Anyways, let's see. Oh shit. Do 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 do. And I would say yes, Shadowbringers is more cinematic than the other expansions, by far. Until Endwalker comes. I wonder if it's gonna be more, shit, my brain's not working. More cinematic. But time would tell. My god, the music's gonna get me, dude. The music's gonna get me. It's just like, it's the best. I swear, it's like the best music I've ever heard. Oh god, fuck me. Anyways. Excuse me, miss. Are you recently come to the city, perchance? I'm quite familiar with our civil roles, you see, and, well, Well, what I mean to ask is, have you brought any books with you? A rumbled scroll, even a scrap of scribbled on parchment? My apologies. Literature is something of an obsession of mine, as well as a profession. Librarian Morin at your service, and this humble collection is known as the Cabinet of Curiosity. As your powers of perception have likely informed you, my colleagues and I are responsible for curating all manner of tomes, documents, and other vehicles for written word. For the written word. A horrific, as horrific as the loss of life and land fraught by the flood unquestionably was, the damage to recorded knowledge was no less catastrophic. We few do all we can to preserve what wisdom survived. But tell me, what brings you to the cabinet today? Looking for any title in particular? Mayhap a spot of academic research? Oh, so you've an interest in modern history. Splendid. A thorough review of recent events can often yield novel perspectives. I quite agree. If you would prefer something visual to accompany the account, then I think I have an illustrated history book for children somewhere. Just a moment, and I'll fetch it for you. And here we are. Would you like to pull up a chair, make yourself more comfortable? On the less on with the lesson then. A 100 years ago, or near enough not to matter, villains known as the Warriors of Light slew the Shadowkeeper, the Steward of Darkness. In the wake of its taint deed, light began to pour into the world as if from unseen cracks. It pooled and swelled without cease until the day an enormous blinding wave rose up and swept across our star. We called this calamity the flood of light. Everything it touched was leached of life and vigor, or leaving naught behind but a luminous wasteland. Yet, just when it seemed that all was would be lost, a savior appeared before us. The Oracle of Light. She stood twixt us and approached doom, and by her power did she stay the flood. Uh, Thus was Norvrent, and Norvrent alone spared the fate of Erasure. Tragedy would, however, arrive in another form. From the blasted emptiness descended horrors of strange and terrible aspect to bedevil the few folk who survived. These sin eaters were light incarnated, and their fulgent presence stole the night from Norvent's sky. Even now, they circle the remaining bastions of civilization, ever on the hunt for us, ever hungering for our flesh. And thus did the world become what it is. Should you ever wish to hear the tale again, I would be glad to retell it for you. Or if you would rather I speak of other matters, that too would be my pleasure. I should be glad of your company. Your exchange with Morin has taught you about the flood of light. Damn! The warriors of light in this realm are villains. We're villains. Well, I mean, like, casted as villains and evil and stuff. That's just, really sad. Anyways, let's go to Crystalline, Catalyst. Okay, what am I missing? I'm missing this ether, right? But I'm missing this ether, right? What the fuck? Oh, there it is. I'm just being stupid. Where to see a place so well stocked with goods, isn't it? But not here. I'm going to guess you're new to our fair city. Well, for what it's worth, you've chosen a fine sanctuary. The Exarch can throw up a barrier if the Sin Eaters come knocking, so it's a damn sight safer in here than it is out there. Safer and more civilized too, thanks to us. In the mean, we work together to procure materials and resources and craft the goods which make city life possible. This is this place to visit if you need a coat mended or a kettle forged. Just don't go thinking it'll all be handed to you on a plate like these Urlomorian layabouts. Here in the Crystarium, we work for a living. So, I see you're no stranger to honest labor. You don't have that width of indolence about you like some folk I've met. Still, I can't quite pin down your profession. Where is it you're from? One of the Exarch's countrymen, you say. I see. Well then, I'll work twice as hard to make you feel welcome. Our city wouldn't even exist if it weren't for him, and any friend of his is a friend of ours. It's really quite incredible when you think about it. They say his grand magics summoned the Crystal Tower into existence, pulled the entire thing out of thin air. It wasn't long before droves of refugees began congregating around its base. desperate for shelter after losing their homes to the flood. And that's how the Crystarium began. At the Exarch's invitation, buildings started going up, and with the help of some curious relics brought forth from the tower, the place gradually expanded into the thriving metropolis you see today. The cities stood here for decades now, yet the eldest among us swear the Exarch looks exactly the same as he did back then. He is indeed a man of many mysteries, but for all his secrecy, he has never yet let us down. So if he and you wish to remain silent about your shared homeland, then the folk here will respect your wish for privacy. I am, however, more than a little curious to see any crafting talent you might be hiding. If you've ought to contribute on that front, be sure to come back and visit once you've had a chance to settle in. Just ask for a Catalyst and I'll find you a niche here in the Crystallian mean. You can help us keep the cogs of the city greased and turning. Your exchange with Catalyst that has taught you about the about life in the Crystarium. All right, I'm going to drink. Ah. Yeah. All right, let's continue, shall we? Alright, so this will be the last one, second to last Aetheryte shard. Last one will be here. There we go. You have attuned yourself to all the Aethernet shards in the Crystarian Lakeland is now accessible as an Aethernet destination. Excuse me. Well, how did you fare? Did my colleagues help you form a clearer picture of this world and its people? Yes, it seems you were treated to a most thorough introduction. I understand it was something of a chore, but 'twas necessary that you grasp these things before we proceed. As for the Crystal Tower's origins, you may have noted that details were sparse. The structure is, in fact, the self-same one you know from the source, transported to the first in its entirety. It was my first attempt at breaching the boundaries between worlds, something of a trial run for your eventual crossing, and although I do not know which era I tore it from, I do know that its arrival served to set the wheels of fate in motion. Anyways, this concludes this first episode of Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. Until next time, fare thee well.